Have you ever wondered what shadowy ceremonies unfolded deep inside those massive Egyptian temples, far from prying eyes? Picture this. While the Nile flowed quietly outside, priests whispered ancient words from hieroglyph-covered walls, unlocking powers that blurred the line between mortal and divine. Today, we're peeling back the layers on the secret rituals that honored the gods in ancient Egypt, pulling from those enigmatic texts etched in stone thousands of years ago. Stick around, because what we've uncovered lately might just flip everything you thought you knew. Let's start by stepping into the forbidden heart of these temples. Unlike churches or mosques where everyone gathers, Egyptian sanctuaries were off-limits to the masses. Only the purest priests, shaved bald and ritually cleansed, could cross into the inner chambers. Hieroglyphic inscriptions tell us these spaces hummed with an otherworldly energy, where the air thickened with incense and the gods' statues stared back as if alive. Imagine the tension as these elite few prepared to commune with beings like Ra or Isis, knowing one wrong move could unleash chaos on the land. It's this exclusivity that shrouded their practices in mystery, making every ritual feel like a guarded treasure. As the first rays of sun pierced the horizon, the real magic began with the awakening ceremony. Priests would approach the god statue, hidden in a golden shrine, and chant spells from the pyramid texts to rouse the deity from slumber. They'd gently wash the figure with sacred water from the Nile, anoint it with precious oils scented like lotus and myrrh, and drape it in fine linen robes. These acts weren't just routine, they were lifelines, ensuring the sun rose and the crops grew. From the walls of Karnak to the depths of Luxor, hieroglyphs depict this daily revival, hinting at a deeper bond where humans literally breathed life into the divine. But why such precision? One slip, and the balance of Maat, the cosmic order, could shatter. From there, the ritual shifted to a feast of offerings that tied the heavens to earth. Tables groaned under bread, beer, fruits, and roasted meats, all presented with bows and invocations. Incense curled up in spirals, carrying prayers to the skies, while libations of wine or milk poured out in streams. Hieroglyphic records from the Book of the Dead show these weren't mere gifts, they were exchanges. The gods fed on the essence, growing stronger, and in return they blessed the pharaoh and his people with fertility and victory. Yet whispers in the texts suggest some offerings held hidden symbols, like the bull's sacrifice representing conquest over chaos. It's fascinating how these acts, performed in dim torchlight, wove a web of dependency that kept the universe spinning. But not all rituals were out in the open. Even among priests, initiation rites pulled newcomers into a veiled world of knowledge. Aspiring holy men endured trials documented in coffin texts, fasting in isolation or reciting forbidden spells under the stars. They'd learn to read the sacred scripts, unlocking secrets like the true names of gods, which held immense power. Imagine the thrill and fear as a novice faced the judgment of Anubis in a mock burial, emerging reborn with tattoos or scars marking their status. These ceremonies, etched in temple bas-reliefs, weren't for show. They forged unbreakable loyalty, ensuring the ritual's purity stayed intact through generations. What drove them to such extremes? Perhaps the promise of glimpsing eternity itself. Deeper still lay the mysteries of death and rebirth, centered on the Osiris cult that gripped the nation. In hidden chambers, priests reenacted the god's murder by his brother Set, his dismemberment, and Isis's miraculous revival. Hieroglyphs from Abydos describe processions with masked performers, chanting hymns while scattering symbolic grains for renewal. Participants might ingest special herbs or endure sensory deprivations to mimic the underworld journey, blurring life and afterlife. This wasn't just theater. It was a profound rite, promising resurrection for all, from kings to commoners. Yet the texts hint at elite versions with undisclosed elements, like sacred unions or blood oaths, that amplified the magic. How did these echo through the ages, influencing later mystery religions? Now, here's where things get wildly intriguing with a bombshell from recent digs. Back in 2024, experts cracked open a 2,000-year-old mug shaped like the god Bes, the protector of homes and births. Inside, traces of a wild brew, hallucinogenic plants like the blue lotus and Syrian rue, spiked with alcohol, nuts, fruits, and what they're calling bodily essences. Think vital fluids from humans or animals. This mix, tied to Ptolemaic-era rituals, points to mind-altering sessions for fertility and safeguarding. Priests likely sipped it during ceremonies to induce visions, connecting directly with the divine in ecstatic states. Hieroglyphs from similar periods back this up, showing dancers in trances amid offerings. But imagine the implications. Were these altered experiences the key to seeing the gods up close? Building on that, modern scholars are buzzing with theories about how widespread this was. Some speculate these psychedelic elements stretched back to the Old Kingdom, woven into hieroglyphic spells for shaman-like journeys. Controversies swirl. Did pharaohs use them for prophetic dreams, or were they reserved for secret societies within the priesthood? Recent underwater finds off the Mediterranean coast in 2023 uncovered temple ruins with amphorae possibly holding similar concoctions, fueling debates on maritime rituals for sea gods like Sobek. Then there's the 2025 Saqqara manuscript, a 5,000-year-old scroll with dire warnings that some interpret as ritual prophecies of floods or plagues. Fringe voices even tie in oversized skeletons from old tombs, whispering about giant guardians in forbidden rites. Though experts dismiss that as myth, still, these pieces paint a picture of Egyptians pushing boundaries to touch the infinite. And let's not overlook the storm around the Hatshepsut temple revelations earlier this year. Over 1,500 limestone blocks emerged, inscribed with previously unknown ritual sequences involving star alignments and eclipse ceremonies. Speculation runs rampant. Were these for invoking cosmic forces during solstices, perhaps with trance-inducing elements? Critics argue it's overhyped, but proponents see it as proof of a sophisticated astral religion hidden in plain sight. Add in the golden-tongued mummies from 2021 digs, thought to ensure speech in the afterlife, and you get a web of interconnected secrets. What if these rituals weren't just worship, but experiments in consciousness, blending science and spirit in ways we're only now grasping? Diving deeper into the Osiris mysteries, consider how they evolved over dynasties. Early hieroglyphs from the 5th dynasty show simple reenactments, but by the New Kingdom, they included elaborate props like wooden effigies and herbal smokes. Priests donning jackal masks would guide initiates through symbolic deaths, using chants to simulate the soul's trial before Osiris. Texts suggest sensory overload, drums pounding, lights flickering, to heighten the experience. Was this a form of psychological therapy, or a genuine portal to the divine? Recent analyses of tomb residues hint at psychoactive residues on tools, supporting the idea that visions were induced to make the rebirth feel real. Shifting to the role of women in these rites adds another layer of fascination. While priests were mostly male, priestesses of Isis and Hathor led ecstatic dances documented in temple reliefs. They'd whirl with sistrums, invoking love and music gods through rhythmic trances. Hieroglyphs from Dendara describe all-female ceremonies where essences like milk or perfumes were central, symbolizing creation. Speculations arise. Did these include fertility boosts with natural enhancers, tying back to the Bess mug find? In a male-dominated society, these women's rituals might have held the true power, hidden to preserve their mystique. The Nile itself played a starring role in secret water-based ceremonies. Boats carried statues during festivals like Opet, but private rites involved submerging icons in sacred lakes for purification. Hieroglyphic papyri reveal spells for invoking Hapi, the flood god, with offerings tossed into currents at midnight. Recent riverbed scans have uncovered sunken altars, sparking theories of underwater initiations, where priests held breath to die and revive. Imagine the risk and rush, drowning fears mirroring underworld perils. This aquatic element underscores how Egyptians wove nature into their divine pacts. Animal cults brought their own enigmatic twists. Temples dedicated to cats, crocodiles, or ibises housed mummified beasts as god embodiments. Rituals included feeding live animals with blessed foods, then embalming them post-mortem. Hieroglyphs from Saqqara detail selection processes where oracles picked divine creatures via signs. Controversies today question if hallucinogens were fed to animals for prophetic behaviors based on residue tests. It's a bizarre intersection of devotion and sacrifice, revealing a worldview where every creature carried sacred potential. Priestly hierarchies enforced the secrecy, with high priests guarding master texts in houses of life. These scriptoria, as per Edfu inscriptions, compiled rituals blending astronomy and medicine. Initiates swore oaths, perhaps involving symbolic curses, to never reveal formulas. Modern digs, like the 2023 Alexandria Library remnants, found coded scrolls hinting at alchemical experiments, mixing metals with herbs for eternal life elixirs. Speculation links this to later Greek Hermeticism, suggesting Egyptian rites birthed Western esotericism. Festival rituals scaled up the drama, like the beautiful Feast of the Valley. Processions carried god statues between temples, with public glimpses, but core acts hidden. Hieroglyphs describe night vigils where priests performed unions between deities' effigies, symbolizing cosmic harmony. Recent Luxor excavations uncovered festival masks with residue of vision-inducing plants, fueling debates on mass-altered states during celebrations. Were these controlled highs to unite the populace with the divine, or elite tools for manipulation? The pharaoh's role as divine intermediary added regal intrigue. As son of Ra, kings led key rites, like the Sed festival for rejuvenation. Hieroglyphs show them running circuits or slaying symbolic foes, but private chambers held anointing with sacred oils, possibly laced with enhancers. Speculations from DNA studies on mummies suggest health rituals involved rare substances for longevity. This blurs lines between ruler and god, highlighting how rituals sustained political power. Underworld navigations in the Duat, as per Amduat texts, inspired tomb rituals mirroring temple ones. Priests recited hours-long spells over sarcophagi, guiding souls through gates guarded by serpents. Recent infrared scans of pyramids revealed hidden chambers with ritual tools, sparking theories of live practices inside. Imagine priests sealed in for days, using breaths and chants to traverse realms, a test of endurance and faith. Healing rituals intertwined with worship, using temple incubatoriums for dream oracles. Patients slept near God's statues. Priests interpreting visions induced by herbs. Hieroglyphs from Imhotep's cult describe cures via symbolic acts, like touching divine images. The Bes discovery echoes this, with its brew potentially for therapeutic hallucinations. Controversies question war rituals prepared armies with divine backing. Before battles, priests consulted oracles via statue movements or animal behaviors, often enhanced subtly. Hieroglyphs from Ramses' temples boast victory rites with captive offerings. Speculations tie psychedelic aids to berserker states in warriors, based on artifact analyses. This militaristic side shows rituals' practical edge. Childbirth protections involved amulets and chants from Bes and Taweret cults. Women invoked them in home shrines mimicking temples, with essences applied. The mug find directly links to this, suggesting communal drinks for safe deliveries. Hidden women's networks might have preserved oral secrets outside male priesthoods. Astral alignments guided temple designs, with rituals timed to solstices. Hieroglyphs align stars with gods, like Sirius for Isis. Recent alignment studies at Giza speculate eclipse ceremonies for renewal. Were hallucinogens used to see celestial paths? This cosmic layer elevates rituals to universal scales. In essence, these temple rites weren't static. They adapted over millennia, absorbing influences from Nubia to Greece. Ptolemaic blends, like the Bes artifact, show hybridization with foreign elements, including possible Eastern psychedelics. Debates rage on cultural purity versus evolution. Finally, as we pull back from these ancient whispers, it's clear the rituals in Egyptian temples were more than ceremonies. They were lifelines to the unseen, laced with secrets that still tantalize us. With fresh finds like that mind-bending mug, who knows what else lies buried? Maybe the real shock is how these old practices mirror our own quests for meaning today. What hidden rituals shape your world? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep uncovering the past together.